Nothing says healthy marriage like your wife announcing she's attending her high school reunion with her ex-boyfriend. But it's just as friends, David. Trust me. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm David Carter, 37, owner of a digital marketing agency in suburban Massachusetts. My wife Laura teaches elementary school and apparently thinks I'm as gullible as her third graders. Mark Phillips is organizing the whole thing, Laura continued, not meeting my eyes. He specifically asked me to help with decorations. Mark Phillips. The name made my jaw clench. Laura's first love from high school, the golden boy quarterback who never quite made it past small-town glory days. Now he sold real estate and drove a leased BMW he couldn't afford. How thoughtful of Mark, I said, keeping my voice neutral. I'm sure he has purely altruistic motives. Laura shot me a look. Don't be like that. We're adults now. Adults. Right. That's why she'd been giggling at her phone like a teenager for the past week, quickly hiding the screen whenever I walked by. That evening, while Laura showered, I did something I'd never done before. I checked her phone. The messages with Mark made my stomach drop. Mark. Can't wait to see you, beautiful. Let's relive some old times. Laura. It'll be just like senior year, but better. David won't be there to watch us. Mark. I've missed you so much. We should have never let other people come between us. Laura. I know. I think about that a lot. I set the phone down carefully, my hands surprisingly steady. 20 years of friendship, 15 years of marriage, and this is how it ends. Not with a fight or growing apart, but with my wife planning to cheat with her high school boyfriend at a reunion. But I wasn't going to be a victim. If Laura wanted nostalgia, I'd give her a show she'd never forget. I scrolled through her contacts until I found the number I was looking for. Vanessa Turner, Laura's high school rival, the girl who'd always outshone her in everything that mattered. They'd competed for everything, grades, boys, popularity. Laura had won Mark, but Vanessa had won everything else. I sent a message. Hi, Vanessa. This is David, Laura's husband. I have a proposition for you. Interested in attending the reunion and settling some old scores? The response came within minutes. Hell yes. What did you have in mind? Vanessa's house was exactly what I'd expected. Stylish, organized, successful. She'd become a marketing executive in Boston, never married, no kids. Everything Laura wasn't. So, Vanessa said, pouring coffee, Laura's cheating on you with Mark Phillips. Can't say I'm surprised. She always was predictable. You don't seem shocked by any of this, I observed. Vanessa laughed, a sharp sound. David, I've been watching Laura make the same mistakes for 20 years. She thinks she's subtle, but she broadcasts her intentions like a neon sign. Plus, Sandy Morrison, you know, the gossipy teacher, has been spreading the news all over town. Sandy knows? Sandy knows Laura's been bragging about reconnecting with her first love and how some people settle for less than they deserve. Vanessa's eyes glittered. Apparently, you're the less than she deserves part. The anger I'd been suppressing finally surfaced. I built a successful business from nothing. I've supported her career, her dreams, her mother's medical bills, and I'm not enough? Laura always wanted what she couldn't have, Vanessa said. In high school, she wanted Mark because I was dating him first. She stole him from me junior year, then acted like she'd won some great prize. Now she's bored with real life and wants to play teenager again. Wait, I said. You dated Mark first? Vanessa's smile was predatory. Oh, yes. And I have some very interesting photos from that time period. Mark was quite the photographer back then, if you know what I mean. This was getting better by the minute. So what's the plan? Vanessa asked. Simple. We show up together, steal their spotlight, and remind everyone who the real power couple is. But I want to do more than just embarrass them. I want consequences. Vanessa leaned forward. Now you're speaking my language. What kind of consequences? I pulled out my phone and showed her Mark's real estate license information. Mark's been having some financial troubles. His boss has been looking for reasons to let him go. A public scandal involving affairs and unprofessional conduct would be perfect. And Laura? Laura's principal is very strict about teachers maintaining professional reputations. A viral video of inappropriate behavior could end her career. Vanessa's grin widened. David Carter, I think I've been underestimating you for years. This is going to be fun. The high school gym had been transformed with cheap decorations and nostalgic music, but it still smelled like adolescent desperation and broken dreams. Perfect. Vanessa and I made our entrance fashionably late. Her hand on my arm, both of us dressed to kill. The effect was immediate. Conversation stopped, heads turned, and I saw Laura's face across the room transform from confusion to shock to pure rage. "David?" Laura pushed through the crowd, Mark trailing behind her like a lost puppy. "What are you doing here? With her?" "Hello, Laura," Vanessa said sweetly. "You look exactly the same. How quaint." "I decided to surprise you," I said, keeping my voice casual. Vanessa was kind enough to accompany me. "We've been getting reacquainted." Mark stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "Look, David, I don't know what game you're playing, but—" "Game?" I interrupted. "I'm not playing any games, Mark. Unlike some people, I don't need to relive high school to feel important." The crowd around us was growing, sensing drama. Principal Lewis, now the event coordinator, appeared with a microphone. Well, well, look at this unexpected reunion. David Carter and Vanessa Turner. Now there's a couple we didn't see coming." Laura's face went white. This wasn't in her script. Vanessa and I worked the crowd like professionals, charming old classmates, sharing business cards, subtly planting seeds of gossip. "Laura and Mark always did have a special connection," Vanessa would say with a knowing smile. "Some things never change." When the dancing started, Vanessa and I took the floor. She was an excellent dancer, and we moved together like we'd been partners for years. I could feel Laura's eyes burning holes in my back. "This is working perfectly," Vanessa whispered as we spun. "Look at them." Laura and Mark stood at the edge of the dance floor, clearly arguing. Laura kept gesturing at us while Mark looked increasingly uncomfortable. "Time for phase 2, I said. I excused myself to the men's room, knowing Mark would follow. Sure enough, he appeared moments later, trying to look intimidating. "What's your game, Carter?" Mark demanded. "Laura told me you two were having problems, but this is pathetic." "Problems?" I laughed. "The only problem I have is figuring out how long you two have been planning this little reunion hookup." Mark's face flushed. "I don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed him screenshots of his messages with Laura. "Really? Because these texts suggest otherwise." Mark lunged for the phone, but I stepped aside easily. "Careful, Mark. Wouldn't want to ruin that pretty face. Your real estate headshots wouldn't look the same with a black eye." "You son of a—" I interrupted. "We're in public. Lots of witnesses. Lots of phones recording. Think before you act." Mark's hands clenched into fists, but he didn't move. Smart man. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to stop texting her, stop calling her, and stop planning your little hotel rendezvous. Because if you don't, I'll make sure your boss, your wife, and everyone in this pathetic town knows exactly what kind of man you really are." I left him standing there, speechless and sweating. Back in the gym, I found Vanessa surrounded by our old classmates, regaling them with stories of her success in Boston. She caught my eye and nodded toward the exit. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "David and I are going to continue this celebration somewhere with better music and stronger drinks. You're all welcome to join us at Murphy's Bar downtown." Half the reunion crowd followed us out, including several people with phones already recording our dramatic exit. Laura and Mark were left standing in an increasingly empty gym, their perfect night in ruins. At Murphy's, the real show began. Vanessa had prepared for this moment, bringing a tablet loaded with old photos and yearbook pages. She showed them to anyone who'd look, pictures of her and Mark together, Laura's desperate attempts to break them up, the whole sordid high school drama. Laura always was jealous, Vanessa told a group of fascinated former classmates. She couldn't stand that Mark chose me first, so she spread rumors, caused drama, did everything she could to break us up, and when that didn't work, she threw herself at him at the winter formal. Poor Mark didn't know what hit him. My phone buzzed with notifications. The reunion had moved to social media, and the hashtag #ShakshunReunionDrama was trending locally. Videos of our entrance, our dancing, and Laura's obvious distress were being shared and commented on by everyone who'd been there. Then Sandy Morrison, Laura's supposed friend, arrived with more gossip fuel. "Oh my God, David, I can't believe Laura didn't tell you she was coming with Mark," Sandy gushed, clearly loving the drama. She's been talking about it for weeks, saying how she was finally going to get the night she deserved with her real love. The crowd around us grew quiet, sensing the kill shot. "She said that?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "Oh yes, she's been telling everyone how she settled when she married you, but Mark was always the one who got away. She even said—" Sandy caught herself, realizing she'd gone too far. "What did she say, Sandy?" She said Mark was twice the man you'd ever be, and tonight she was going to prove it." The bar erupted in shocked murmurs. Vanessa put her hand on my shoulder, playing the supportive companion perfectly. "Well," I said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I guess we'll see about that." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from an unknown number with an attached video. The caption read, "Thought you should see this." The video showed Laura and Mark in the school parking lot, locked in a passionate embrace next to Mark's BMW. They were so absorbed in each other, they hadn't noticed the classmate filming from across the lot. I held up my phone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have our answer about who Laura really came to the reunion with." The video played on the bar's TV screen, connected via someone's phone. The entire bar watched in stunned silence as my wife of 15 years made out with her high school boyfriend like teenagers. The silence broke into a chaos of gasps, laughter, and excited chatter. Phones came out, recording everything. This was going to be all over social media within minutes. "David," Vanessa said quietly, "are you okay?" I looked around the bar at the faces of people I'd known for years, some sympathetic, others hungry for more drama. Then I looked at the video still playing on the screen, showing my wife's betrayal in high definition. "Actually," I said, "I'm perfect, because now everyone knows exactly who Laura really is. And more importantly, so do I." The next morning, I was in my office early, putting the final pieces of my plan into motion. My business partner Tom arrived with coffee and a grim expression. "Dude, the whole town is talking about last night," Tom said. "The video's been shared like 1,000 times. Local Facebook groups are going crazy." "Good," I said, opening my laptop. Phase 1 is complete. Time for Phase 2. I'd spent the early morning hours doing research. Mark's real estate firm had a strict morality clause in their contracts. His boss, Jim Patterson, was a deacon at the local church and took professional conduct very seriously. Mark's wife, whom he'd apparently forgotten existed, was the daughter of the firm's biggest investor. I composed a professional email to Jim Patterson, attaching the video and screenshots of Mark's texts with Laura. I explained how Mark had been using company time and resources to plan his affair, and how his behavior at a public event reflected poorly on the firm's reputation. Send. Next, I contacted Laura's school district. The principal, Mrs. Chen, ran a tight ship and had zero tolerance for anything that could bring negative attention to the school. I sent her the video along with screenshots of Laura's boastful messages to Sandy about her plans. Send. Then I called my lawyer and filed for divorce, citing adultery with evidence. Massachusetts might be a no-fault divorce state, but documented infidelity still mattered for asset division and alimony considerations. By noon, the dominoes were falling. Tom fielded calls from local reporters wanting comments about the reunion scandal. Mark's real estate office confirmed he'd been suspended pending investigation. The school district announced Laura had been placed on administrative leave. My phone rang. "Laura." "David, we need to talk," she said, her voice tight with panic. "I think you've said enough, Laura. Your actions last night spoke volumes." It wasn't what it looked like. It looked like my wife of 15 years making out with her ex-boyfriend in a parking lot while telling the entire town I wasn't good enough for her. What exactly did I misunderstand? Silence. "David, please. I made a mistake. We can work through this." "No, Laura, we can't. You made your choice. Now you get to live with the consequences." I hung up and blocked her number. Vanessa called an hour later. "Have you seen the news?" "What news?" Channel 5 just ran a story about the social media scandal that's rocking a local community. They interviewed some people from the reunion. It's not pretty for Laura and Mark. I pulled up the news station's website. There it was, a full story complete with blurred-out footage from the parking lot and interviews with classmates describing the shocking betrayal and public humiliation at the reunion. The reporter had even managed to get a comment from Mark's wife. "I'm devastated by my husband's behavior and grateful to the community for bringing this to my attention." My office door opened and Vanessa walked in, looking satisfied. "I thought you might want to see this," she said, handing me a printed email. "Mark's boss forwarded it to me by accident. He meant to send it to the company's HR department." The email detailed Mark's immediate termination for conduct unbecoming of a professional representative and violation of company moral standards. His real estate license was under review, and his wife had filed for divorce. "And Laura?" I asked. "Suspended without pay pending a formal review. Apparently several parents complained after seeing the news story. They don't want their children taught by someone who demonstrates such poor judgment and moral character." I leaned back in my chair, feeling something I hadn't experienced in years. Complete satisfaction. "You know what the best part is?" Vanessa continued. "They thought they were so clever, planning their little reunion romance. They never considered that actions have consequences in the real world." My computer chimed with a new email. It was from Jim Patterson, Mark's former boss, thanking me for bringing the situation to his attention and confirming that Mark would never work in real estate in this area again. Another email arrived from my lawyer. Laura had tried to contest the divorce filing, claiming the evidence was obtained illegally. Her lawyer had informed her that text messages and public behavior couldn't be suppressed, and advised her to accept whatever settlement I offered. "David," Vanessa said, "I have to ask, do you feel bad about any of this?" I thought about it for a moment. Did I feel bad about destroying the careers and reputations of two people who'd betrayed me? Did I regret exposing their affair to the entire community? Did I wish I'd handled it differently? No, I said finally. They made their choices. They decided my feelings, my marriage, and my reputation didn't matter. They thought they could humiliate me and face no consequences. They were wrong. Vanessa smiled. Good, because I have one more surprise. She pulled out her phone and showed me a social media post. It was from Mark's real estate company, announcing his termination and assuring clients that they maintained the highest professional standards. The post had hundreds of comments, most of them from people sharing their own stories of Mark's unprofessional behavior over the years. It turns out, Vanessa said, Mark had been cutting corners and lying to clients for months. Your little revelation gave people the courage to speak up. He's facing potential legal action from several former clients. I shook my head in amazement. I just wanted to embarrass them at a reunion. I never expected it to go this far. That's the thing about consequences, David. Once you start pulling the thread, the whole sweater unravels. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Mark. You've ruined my life. I hope you're happy." I showed the message to Vanessa, who laughed. "Should I be worried about him?" I asked. "Mark Phillips? Please, he's a coward who only picks fights he thinks he can win. Now that everyone knows what he really is, he'll slink away and try to rebuild somewhere else. If he's smart, he'll leave town entirely." She was right. Mark was the type of man who relied on reputation and connections. Without those, he was nothing. And Laura? Laura will try to play the victim, claim she was manipulated or going through a crisis, but the evidence is too clear and the community is too small. She'll have to start over somewhere else, too. I looked out my office window at the town I'd called home for 20 years. Tomorrow, I'd still be here, running my successful business, respected by my clients and colleagues. Laura and Mark would be gone, their reputations in ruins, their careers destroyed. "You know what the ironic part is?" I said to Vanessa. "They got exactly what they wanted. They got to relive high school, the drama, the gossip, the social destruction. They just forgot that this time, there would be adult consequences." Vanessa gathered her things to leave. "David, I have to say working with you on this has been the most fun I've had in years. Laura never deserved you." After she left, I sat alone in my office, processing everything that had happened. 24 hours ago, I'd been a man whose wife was planning to cheat on him. Now, I was a man who'd systematically destroyed the lives of everyone who'd betrayed him. My computer chimed one final time. An email from Laura's lawyer, formally agreeing to all my divorce terms. No alimony, minimal asset division, and a non-disclosure agreement preventing her from discussing our marriage publicly. I printed the agreement and signed it. Laura had wanted her high school reunion to be a new beginning. She got her wish, just not the way she'd planned. She'd wanted nostalgia, but she got history. And now, finally, so did I.